The baseline atmosphere of our subterranean archive smelled perpetually of decaying parchment, overheating server racks, and cheap lavender air freshener. For 14 straight years, I served as the quiet archivist at the Vance Heritage Foundation, silently preserving digitized blueprints and historical deeds while fresh-faced corporate interns continuously disrupted our workflow. Everything deteriorated rapidly when Genevieve, an ambitious former lifestyle vlogger who recently married the chairman's youngest nephew, was unexpectedly appointed as our senior director of digital transformation. Arriving at her first department briefing with an LED light tripod and iced oat milk latte, she clapped her manicured hands and announced, "Good morning, team. Let's aggressively disrupt these dusty relics." Genevieve routinely strutted through the climate-controlled vaults and designer pumps, loudly declaring our multi-million-dollar cataloging system clunky and once innocently asking if microfiche was a type of seafood. Despite her utter lack of technical competence, I remained silent because I was the indispensable backbone keeping our brittle, custom-built database running through unbilled evening shifts and emergency patches. When an unexpected power surge corrupted our primary index 3 years ago, I spent 72 continuous hours reconstructing the relational tables before upper management even realized a failure had occurred. I held sole custody over key proprietary migration scripts and automated index protocols that no one else understood, making my sudden termination all the more surreal. The final collapse began during a rainy Tuesday morning briefing when Genevieve stood before a screen displaying a neon-colored slide deck filled with buzzwords she mispronounced. "We are sunsetting our obsolete local servers and migrating our complete digital repository to an AI-driven public cloud framework," she declared, beaming as if she had personally cured world hunger. The entire veteran preservation team froze in collective horror, well aware that our specialized file formats and sensitive donor records were completely incompatible with generic cloud storage, without custom translation layer interfaces. She dismissed our unspoken concerns with a flippant flick of her wrist, casually remarking, "Outmoded legacy thinking only holds back modern agility." 48 hours later, I received a cryptic calendar invitation titled Brief Administrative Alignment scheduled for precisely 4:55 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. Entering the glass-walled conference room, I found Genevieve comfortably perched on the edge of the mahogany table alongside a nervous HR representative who immediately pushed a severance packet across the polished wood. "As part of our forward-looking restructuring initiative, we are eliminating legacy roles to make room for dynamic, cloud-native talent," Genevieve purred, delivering the rehearsed speech with insincere sympathy. I quietly folded the severance agreement without signing it, laid my encrypted access keycard on the desk, and warned them softly that our entire system would completely collapse within 20 minutes without my active automated routines. Ignoring Genevieve's dismissive laughter, I gathered my personal belongings, exited the building, and strolled into a quiet bistro directly across the boulevard. Sitting near the window with a piping hot black coffee, I looked up at the 11th floor windows of the foundation where light illuminated the busy open-plan workspace. A heavy weight of anxiety pressed against my chest as I questioned whether walking away without leaving an emergency instruction manual was overly harsh to my former coworkers. My fingers hovered over my smartphone keyboard, contemplating whether to send a quick warning message to Arthur, the kindly night shift security manager who always brought me fresh pastries. Ultimately, I placed the phone screen down on the wooden table, accepting that Genevieve's reckless hubris required a harsh reality check. She had systematically ignored every compliance memo I filed regarding database dependencies while treating complex data architecture like a simple drag-and-drop mobile application. Furthermore, she had failed to review her own signed operational agreement, which explicitly stipulated that all proprietary automation scripts I authored remained my exclusive intellectual property and were instantly revoked upon my departure. The Foundation insisted on treating specialized technical stewardship as invisible background noise, and they were about to experience the true cost of that ignorance. The situation escalated dramatically when the chief executive officer stormed down the hallway, his face flushed with rage as his smartwatch buzzed continuously with urgent alerts from the board of directors. He bypassed the weeping account managers and marched straight into the central server room, where Chloe was attempting to direct an expensive team of external consultants who were hopelessly out of their depth. The lead external consultant, clutching an empty diagnostic tool, sheepishly informed the CEO that the missing infrastructure components weren't broken, but had simply ceased to exist when Julian's personal scripts disengaged. The realization hit the room like a cold blast of air, Julian hadn't committed a single act of digital sabotage. He had merely stopped donating his personal proprietary software to a company that treated him as disposable. Chloe attempted to shift the blame onto Julian's alleged lack of documentation, but the chief auditor stepped forward to reveal that Chloe had personally marked Julian's detailed technical compliance manuals as unnecessary overhead weeks ago. By 6 o'clock in the evening, the legal team had descended upon the executive floor, clutching armfuls of archived contracts and demanding an immediate audit of all digital property rights. Within hours of sifting through internal communications, the attorneys discovered a string of dismissive Slack messages in which Chloe had explicitly ordered junior staff to ignore Julian's intellectual property warnings. To make matters vastly worse, the company's largest corporate sponsor issued an immediate notice of breach of contract, threatening multi-million-dollar litigation for compromised data integrity and lost transit hours. The corporate communications director tried to publish a soft-worded statement regarding scheduled system maintenance, but an unconfigured automated bot on the firm's public accounts responded to furious clients with cheery, tone-deaf promotional messages. As the public relations nightmare went viral across professional networking sites, Chloe was quietly escorted out of the building through the service elevator, her high-visibility career ending in total humiliation. Sitting peacefully in the tea shop as the rain steadily tapped against the glass, Julian watched his personal phone light up with an endless stream of desperate notifications. Text messages from former middle managers pleading for help were quickly followed by formal emails from executive assistants offering emergency consulting rates that exceeded his former annual salary. Chloe herself had even attempted to reach out through every available platform, sending increasingly hysterical messages that ranged from insincere apologies to frantic demands for master decryption keys. Julian systematically archived every incoming message into an encrypted folder, ensuring that he possessed a complete paper trail of their admission of total operational dependence. He had no intention of rushing to their rescue, understanding that true accountability required letting the consequences of arrogance fully run their course. The following morning, Julian met with a senior partner from a premier cyber law firm who reviewed his original intellectual property agreements and confirmed that his legal position was absolute. The attorney chuckled aloud upon discovering that Chloe had personally signed off on the document that confirmed Julian's sole ownership over the automated maintenance scripts. Armed with undeniable legal leverage, Julian prepared a formal settlement proposal that offered to license his software back to Vanguard Logistics under strict, highly lucrative terms that guaranteed complete technical autonomy. The board of directors, desperate to prevent total insolvency and avoid further public embarrassment, accepted his terms within 30 minutes of receiving the draft. Julian's new consulting contract not only quadrupled his previous income, but also required the immediate termination of the remaining executives who had sanctioned the hostile work environment. Returning to the server room 3 days later on his own terms, Julian walked past the humbled remaining staff, who watched him with newfound reverence and deep respect. He plugged his personal terminal into the primary maintenance console, entered his master security key, and watched as the red error flags across the global network dashboard instantly turned back to a serene, steady green. The system absorbed the restoration seamlessly, clearing the backlog of stranded freight orders and re-establishing secure connections with regional distribution hubs within minutes. The CEO personally delivered a formal, written apology to Julian's new private office. Julian accepted the apology with a calm nod, knowing that he had successfully rewritten the rules of his career without ever raising his voice. A calm nod, knowing that he had successfully rewritten the rules of his career without ever raising his voice. News of the corporate turnaround spread quickly throughout the regional tech community, cementing Julian's reputation as an unshakable figure in enterprise architecture. Former colleagues who had previously fled the toxic work environment reached out to congratulate him, eager to learn how he had managed to turn a hostile termination into absolute professional leverage. Julian took time to mentor younger engineers, teaching them not only how to write resilient code, but also how to protect their legal rights in an industry that often takes back-end labor for granted. The company's internal culture underwent a massive transformation, permanently discarding superficial buzzwords in favor of practical expertise and mutual respect among all departments. Julian's journey became a legend among local IT circles, serving as a timeless reminder that true power lies in competence rather than corporate titles. Reflecting on the entire ordeal from the comfort of his home office, Julian felt a profound sense of peace and satisfaction with how the situation had unfolded. He had proven that integrity, preparation, and technical mastery would always prevail over nepotism and superficial arrogance. The financial security provided by his new licensing agreements allowed him the freedom to select his own projects and work entirely on his own terms. Vanguard Logistics continued to thrive under its revamped, grounded leadership, with Julian serving as an independent high-level advisor who answerable only to the board. The experience served as a powerful lesson for everyone involved, forever altering how the organization valued its essential workforce. Looking back, the moment he walked out of that HR office was not the end of his career, but the true beginning of his independence and success. By choosing composure over conflict and strategy over impulse, he had turned an attempted humiliation into his greatest professional triumph. He proved that when you hold the keys to the engine, you never have to beg for a seat at the table. His story continues to inspire countless individuals navigating difficult corporate environments, proving that quiet competence is the ultimate form of strength.